Welcome to Awakening the Warrior. I am your host and guide, KB Hannibal, and last week we explored forgiveness. We learned that in order to release and heal, we have to forgive not only those who we feel created our trauma or included us in dysfunction, but ourselves. The most important part of healing is to forgive and release without expecting anything in return from anyone. We learned to honor the weight we carry, validate our grief, practice compassion with boundaries, reframe the narrative, and again, most importantly, detach forgiveness from accountability. We learned about shadow work and how that is where our healing begins. But before we can dive deeper into the shadows, I need to know, are you courageous enough to heal? There's a mirror no one wants to face, the one that doesn't flatter, the one that doesn't lie. Healing begins not when the wound fades, but when you dare to touch it with truth. This is for the warriors who've learned to smile through sorrow, who survived by silence and pain. Today, I ask you, are you courageous enough to heal? We often think of courage as loud, fists raised, but healing is quiet. It's showing up when you rather run. It's the courage to cry, to forgive, to name what hurt you, and still believe you deserve peace. We were taught to define courage through survival. Stand tall, stay quiet, push through. But real courage? It's not how much you can carry, it's whether you're willing to put it down and feel it. They said healing would make us weak, that crying was a collapse, that speaking the truth was drama. But strength that hides pain becomes a cage. And courage? Courage is the key that unlocks the silence. Courage is the quiet force behind every bold choice, every vulnerable truth, and every healing step. It's not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward with it. What does courage mean to you? Courage is the ability to act in alignment with your truth, with your values, and your purpose. Even when fear, discomfort, or risk are present, it shows up in many forms. There's emotional courage, facing your own pain, expressing vulnerability, and asking for help. There's moral courage, standing up for what's right, even when it's not a popular choice. There's physical courage, taking action despite physical danger or discomfort. And then there's spiritual courage, trusting your intuitions, honoring your healing, or walking away from generational patterns. How do you believe courage manifests in your life daily? I have some everyday examples of how courage quietly transforms lives. Speaking your truth, saying I'm not okay, this doesn't sit right with me, it doesn't feel right. Setting boundaries, saying no without guilt, even to the people you love. Choosing healing, starting therapy, journaling, or facing childhood wounds. Courage is asking for support, reaching out when you feel overwhelmed or alone. Owning your story, sharing your journey, that's courage. Sharing even the parts that still hurt or that still ache. Leaving toxic environments. Walking away from relationships, jobs, or spaces that dishonor your spirit. Forgiving yourself by releasing shame and embracing your humanity. Courage is creating something new. Writing a poem, sharing your art, launching a podcast. Despite fear of judgment, resting intentionally, choosing rest over hustle, knowing your worth isn't tied to productivity. And loving fully, opening your heart again after betrayal or heartbreak. The more you use it, courage becomes stronger in your life because courage is like a muscle. You start small, speaking up once a day, honoring one boundary, choosing one healing action, and you grow because each act rewires your nervous system to trust safety and truth and your self-worth. In trauma, your nervous system protects you by shutting down emotions. That's not weakness, it's survival. But healing asks you to exit survival mode, to breathe through discomfort, name what's aching you. And that choice is courage. Courage is lighting a candle in a room that you once feared to enter. It's looking in the mirror and not turning away. It's whispering, I forgive you, to the parts of you others wouldn't love. Courage isn't force, it's permission. Take a moment and think about the last time you felt emotional pain. Did you tend to it or did you tuck it away? What mask have you worn to seem strong? What truth have you silenced because you feared its impact? And can you be brave enough to be honest? Not just with others, but with yourself. Let's have an affirmation moment. I want you to repeat after me. I honor the parts of me I used to hide. I reclaim my softness as strength. I am courageous enough to heal. My bravery is in my softness. My power is in my presence. And I'm going to repeat this again. I honor the parts of me I used to hide. I reclaim my softness as strength. I am courageous enough to heal. My bravery is in my softness. My power is in my presence. We didn't just inherit trauma. We inherited how to hide it. Silence became language. Shame became legacy. And survival was the performance. Silence became the sanctuary. It was also the shield that kept the healing away. Shame taught us to perform strength, even when we were breaking down inside. Our conditioner said, if you revisit the pain, you'll fall apart. But healing is asking you, will you fall apart to come back whole? Emotional silence often feels like safety. We grow up in homes where pain is swallowed and feelings are punished, and the truth is inconvenient. So we build a shield of silence, not because we're strong, but because we were never allowed to be soft. Silence says, if I don't speak it, maybe I won't feel it. But your body never forgets. The spirit still holds what you won't say. Shame whispers, you're too much. You feel too deeply. You're not enough. And when those messages come early, especially from your parents or your culture or even institutions, they root in your nervous system. Shame teaches you to hide, not heal. It disconnects you from your intuition. It makes you second guess your own truth. Survival mode is not a lifestyle. It's an emergency state. But many of us has lived there for decades. Hyper-independence, emotional detachment, people-pleasing. These are all survival adaptations. And they worked until they didn't. Because survival asks you to sacrifice your feelings. Healing is asking you to feel in order to live. What stories have you told yourself to avoid the truth beneath them? I'm fine. It doesn't affect me anymore. They didn't mean to hurt me. Ask yourself, where did I learn that silence was safer than honesty? Whose pain have I carried without words? What survival patterns do I still call personality? Survival taught you how to escape, but healing will teach you how to return to your body, to your truth, to your voice. Silence protected you before. Now your courage is going to carry you forward. Tell yourself, I release the belief that silence equals strength. My truth is sacred. My voice is my freedom. I release the belief that silence equals strength. My truth is sacred. My voice is my freedom. You see, healing isn't just a choice. It's a destination. A sacred place in your being where silence softens and pain transforms. And your soul remembers who you've always been. So today we're going to invite courage to arrive. We're going to honor it with a sacred welcoming. This isn't a whisper asking permission. It's a warm flame calling you home. It lives in your bones. It echoes through your breath and waits beneath every mask you've worn to survive. You were never too broken. You just waited until you were brave enough to return. So I want you to write a truth that hurt you. And then I want you to write a truth that sets you free. Light a candle, say your name out loud, and say, I am here. I choose peace. Or play a song that reminds you of who you are beneath survival. And you can stand in the mirror, not to fix anything, but to witness the soul inside of you that's screaming to be let free. and tell yourself, healing is my destination. I arrive with grace. Even if I tremble, I walk towards my truth. I am worthy of rest, of release, of reclamation. Each breath is a step, each choice a return. I choose to heal. Now picture the phoenix rising, not aimlessly, but towards a place of power. Picture your heart unfolding like the bonsai tree, growing with patience and ancestral wisdom. You're not lost, you're arriving. An arrival is an act of courage. Healing starts with one act of courage, just one. Write the letter you avoided. Speak the truth you swallowed. Look at your reflection and honor the soul you hid. Say, I am safe enough to begin, even if I don't have all the answers. My heart is ready to listen. Today, let your healing begin with intention. Write it, speak it, cry, create whatever your soul needs. So, I ask again, not just with words, but with your body, your spirit, your legacy. Are you courageous enough to heal? Write that letter to your younger self. Say everything that you were never told. Sit with that mirror for 2 minutes. Speak your truth out loud. Light a candle and whisper to it, I choose healing even when it hurts. Play a song that makes you cry. Let yourself feel without shame. These aren't tasks, they're invitations back to your soul. This is the beginning of your shadow work, because the phoenix doesn't rise without fire. The bonsai doesn't thrive without deep roots. You're not just surviving, you're shaping legacy. Tell yourself, I am courageous enough to heal. And repeat it again. I am courageous enough to heal. And you can repeat that until you feel it deeply, until you believe it, until you're courageous enough. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Awakening the Warrior. I'm your host and guide, KB Hannibal. If you have not done so already, like, subscribe, share with friends and family, leave a voice message or a comment so that we can start to interact and add to our healing. Together, we're breaking free from trauma bonds, emotional conditioning, and anything that has caused us to stop our growth mentally and emotionally. We're setting boundaries and using shadow work to achieve liberation. Are you courageous enough to heal? If you've listened this long, I believe you are. Don't claim that self-doubt. That was instilled in you. You do not own that. Release it. Love yourself unconditionally. You can find this podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify. So until next time, carry your truth like a flame. Stand tall in your healing. And remember, the warrior within you is not afraid to feel. 'Cause